I wanted to talk about one of the greatest, I wouldn't even call it an episode, but processes of making amends that I have ever seen. And the only reason I can share this is because both individuals, um, my father and my grandmother, are long dead. So just a little background. My dad was one of nine. His father committed suicide when he was, I believe 21. He was the second oldest. There were six boys and three girls. His mother played favorites. She absolutely doted to a ridiculous degree on the oldest boy. And my father came, they were Irish twins. They were a year apart. And it was like he didn't exist. And there was so much pain in his life because it was just bookended. He was always watching her kind of, you know, emotionally make love to his older brother and idolize his older brother. And it wasn't pretty. It was pretty crippling for the oldest son. But in her old age, my grandmother had stomach cancer. And my father and I and one of his sisters helped take care of her. My father lived with her at the time, and it came to the point where she didn't want anybody else to take care of her. And, he changed her diapers, he bathed her. It was extreme. She was a big woman. Um, she was in her 80s. And there was really a process of confrontation. And I talked to my dad every day. So my dad was a hardened alcoholic until he was 50. I was 18 when he stopped drinking. I was out of the home and at college. And I, when I saw my dad for the first time and I knew he was sober, I met him somewhere. And we were meeting for a meal or something. And I remember him looking at him a distance across the parking lot. And, I just had lost so much time with my dad. And I could tell he was a changed person. I could tell by how he held himself. I could tell by the look on his face, his demeanor. And so, by the time I crossed that parking lot and got to my dad, I like to say I had completely forgiven him. I really wasn't interested in going over the past, and I didn't want to lose any more time. And it was a good thing because he didn't live that many years after that. We had our problems, but for the most part, we began what became, just a very solid friendship. I talked to my dad almost daily. So I knew what he was going through with his mom. I knew what he was confronting her about. I knew the deep, deep pain. And um, when he was in his 60s. When you're doing housekeeping at the age of 60, it's a lot of work. Um, Especially when the relationship is between you and a parent who was an unrepentant in their behavior. So there was a lot of wrangling, but she couldn't go anywhere. She was physically dependent on him. So it was a very interesting process. Making amends can take years sometimes. It's not easy. Reconciliation is a painful, arduous process at times. But the goal is to shed the weight for both parties. You don't have to agree. You got to listen though. So here we go. June 12th. And I appreciate your patience in listening to me. I do. I've just seen some incredible things in my life. I do want to share the positive, the joy, as well as the sadness. So June 12th, since the 10th step is part of my daily routine, I try to think of it as gentle, warm, and loving way to take care of myself. By continuing to take my own inventory and promptly admitting when I am wrong, I clear out many unwanted attitudes that might otherwise clutter my day. This step has helped me to learn that living one day at a time involves more than pulling my attention back from fears about the future. It also means leaving yesterday's baggage in the past. Each day, I ask myself if carrying this extra weight will in any way help me today. If not, I can drop it here and now and walk away from unwanted negativity with a lightness of spirit. Today's reminder: on this new day, let me quietly reflect and search out any negative feelings that are left over from yesterday. Old resentments will interfere with my serenity today. Perhaps it is time to let them go. Here's the quote: each day, each new moment can be an opportunity to clear the air and start again, fresh and free. And that's from In All Our Affairs. I remember my father saying, please, please, he would plead with me, do not put your head down on your pillow at night if you have any anger or resentment towards me in any way, shape, or form. Please call me and get it resolved. Please, I beg of you. It's an interesting thought. I pray you're blessed today and that you would have courage to make amends. Remember, the first and the most important place we make amends is to ourselves. So make amends to yourself so that you have the courage to make amends to other people. The first step is we make peace with ourselves, about ourselves. You won't have the courage to do the other if you don't first do this.